Hello everyone, how's everyone doing? I had posted a shut up jar last time, and many of you really liked it and were waiting to try for it. And I think one of them gave me a real good feedback that it had worked for them. So now I'm coming back with the next jar. And yes, many people had asked me, would I be bringing a jars workshop? So I'm going to talk something about that also today, along with teaching you all a simple money jar. It's, I would not say simple, but yes, I would be bringing in few things. But at the same time, many people were asking me about my jars workshop will I be bringing. Now most of you all know that I have already done a jars workshop. I've already taught a jars workshop in basics, but this what I'm bringing this time would be more like a masters in jars, where a lot of things will be covered. I will tell you all as the video goes. Now you all must be remembering this point where I smoke, where I give smoke to the jar, where I cleanse the jar basically. And last time I had said I also cleanse the cover. For me, if it is cleansing, then it is both. Okay. Now, before we go further, let me tell you one thing. Many people feel jars. Okay, what is jars? Just a simple a jar you pick up, and then you pick the right set of ingredients. Like see, for a proper jar, you need crystals, you need herbs, you need charms, you need the necessary sigils. Um, Maybe you will need petition paper for some, you will need visiting card for some, you will need photos for some. DNA, yes, DNA is needed. And you will also need add-ons. Like for example, if you're doing a jar for love, maybe a heart shaped crystal. And so these are some things which you actually need when you're doing a jar. So you must be thinking, what is there in a jar magic? If I know all the herbs, if I know all the what do we say, the crystals, then it is enough. But let me tell you something. Jar magic is not only that much. There are 6 main steps when we work in jar magic. Now when I say 6 main steps, basically one is, as I did here, the cleansing part. First is getting all the right ingredients. Now for example, there are certain herbs which should be actually avoided in a jar. That is where I said whatever I have taught in my basics, it's a different thing. Whatever I'm bringing up in the workshop is more like you become master experts in jars. So there are certain herbs which should be avoided in a jar, because what will happen when you use those herbs, it will reverse the energies of the jars. This very less people would have learnt in their jars. So that is one special thing which we will be bringing in, which herbs should be added and which herbs should be strictly avoided in a jar magic. First thing is that. So one thing is we collect all the ingredients which is needed. The next part is cleansing. Now I have already kept your ingredients ready for the money jar, right? Now next comes your cleansing. Now after cleansing, what we do is, there's a way of meditating when we sit on the jars. Now these jars are just simple jars which I'm teaching you all. I'm not making this for any client, so I'm not meditating, but there is a way of meditation which is called as the pre-magic ritual. We call it as a pre-magic ritual, where we prepare ourselves to sit and make these beautiful jars, which again I cannot cover in this because it's a part of my workshop. So we do the meditation, then we set the intent. After we set the intent, what we do is we layer the jars. In jars, again, there are wet jars, there are dry jars, there are fruit jars, there are DNA jars, there are jars for pets, like for animals. You even have jar for anti-anxiety, you have jar for sleep related issues. Lots of jars we have. Okay, so we set the intent, on what intent we are making this jar. We can also burn that intent related candle, like if I'm keeping the jar here, I can keep the candle here and I can make it. Then comes the process of sealing the jar. So layering is there. Now layering, some jars, yeah, I forgot the step, layering. Some jars will be layered, like for example, now this is a simple money thing which I'm showing, but one more what you can do is, you can layer, like first layer can be rice, then corn, dry corn, not the boiled corn, rice, dry corn. Now again in this rice, you can even make the green rice, which you will easily find in my YouTube channel, how to make the green rice, which is for money. So green rice, corn, sugar, you can layer it with cinnamon sticks. Okay, you can layer it with a lot of money herbs, and at top you can keep few money pieces, and then you can close it and you can seal it. Sealing the jar, again there are different ways of sealing the jar. Some need our breath to seal the jars, some need regularly candles to seal the jars, some need something called as a jar spray, which again I'm not teaching here, but I will be teaching during my workshop. So jar spray is needed when you use that to seal the jars. So these are the main steps when we do the jar. Now again, you might ask, I have done so many jars, why is it that my jar magic had failed? The main reason where a jar magic fails is where there is distraction. Why? I will give you a small example. I sit here, I smudge the jar, suddenly a phone call comes, I go there, then my jar is not done. You have to understand that. First main thing is distraction. Second main thing is, I said there are certain herbs which will reverse the effect of the jar, but we don't understand that. We just put, okay, for example, I went online, I googled online, I got a certain number of herbs, I just put those herbs and I feel the jar is done. But maybe in that certain herbs there is one herb which cuts the magic, or which cuts the energy of the whole jar, and it is not able to give you the what do we say, the proper result. Then comes associations. For example, I will give you a simple example here. Herbs also have associations with elements of the earth like fire, water. We all say fire and water, when you mix, it gets distinguished, it gets extinguished, right? So in case your jar has a fire and a water elemental related herb, again your jar will not work. Like that, there are a lot of things, mainly impatience and faith. I made the jar, I shake the jar, I've been shaking for 5 days, why have I not got the results? Maybe the 6th day was the day for the result, and on the 5th day I became impatient, right? So the faith, the dedication, all that is needed. Again, now I told you all the steps, like you need cleansing, you need this, you need that, all that I told you. Mainly there is a way of even making a magical circle around the jar when you make the jar. Now these things you might be wondering, when we learnt the jar magic, why we were not taught? Because as I said, I was planning to bring a master course. So those who have done my basic and advanced can also learn this. Now those who have not done my basic and advanced, but I've learned from someone else, they can also learn basically. But there's a magic circle which you create around the jar. There's a sealing of the jar. Now some jars need to be discarded, and certain jars need to be discarded only in certain ways. So like these, there are lots and lots of things which the jar magic actually brings. That is why some people abroad are the jar experts. When we call them jar experts, it means whichever jar they do, they get results like this. So that's the reason why I was waiting for the right time. Now again, you might be wondering, when is the workshop starting? I have not fixed a date as such, but the moment I get top 30 students, I will close the registrations, and from the next day I will start the jar. Now let's come back to this wealth jar. As I said, layering of the jar is needed, but here I'm not going to layering. First start I'm doing is I'm using raw rice. Now this raw rice, basically what I do is, I have an Annapurni statue in my altar down, where I put little rice and keep. Now this rice is from that, so I use the Annapurni statue ka rice. You can also use the rice which you are using from your what do we call, from your regular rice usage. So we take a little bit of rice. Okay, now in this we will be adding cinnamon stick. Now I use the cinnamon bark, I don't use the broken pieces. So one cinnamon stick, you can add more also. I'm going to count 8 cloves and add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, there is also a way of working with jars where you use the so-called number of ingredients. Like here I'm using 8 for some. So total 8 ingredients with the correct psalm and with the correct number of times we use the psalm. That is also one way of doing the jars. Before I forget, I know I'm tempting you all to join the jars workshop, but actually it is worth it. That's why I'm tempting you all. So I'm using 8 coins, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now these can be any denomination. It's not necessary it has to be 5 rupees or 10 rupees. So 8 coins go inside my jar. I add a strand of saffron. You can even add elaichi, that is the cardamom, if you want. You can even add the star anise if you want. So I'm adding the saffron, and I add rose of Jericho. Rose of Jericho is a very powerful herb for bringing in whatever we need. Okay, so I'll be adding a little bit of rose of Jericho and a little bit of patchouli, P-A-T-C-H-O-U-L-I. Now for rose of Jericho, I don't know what you can substitute as, because rose of Jericho itself is its own powerful way, but you can omit it if you don't have it. Instead of patchouli, you can add mint. You can add your mint leaves in this. Okay, so with this you can even add 1 green aventurine, because as I said, crystals are a must. Now this jar can be made as a dry jar or also as a wet jar. Now when I say wet jar, you will add equal proportion of honey and sugar and you will seal the jar. Now sealing is a different process, but as of now you will close the jar. Whatever you're using, be it a dry jar or a wet jar, if you have a visiting card, you will put your visiting card inside. If you don't have a visiting card, you can write your name and say I earn so much a month and put inside. You will shake this every day, and as you're shaking, even if there is honey, even if there's no honey, you will shake this every day and say that you're attracting money in your life. And on every Fridays you can burn a green tea light candle. Sealing the jar has 3-4 ways of sealing the jar, so that again I will explain only when we are doing the workshop. As of now, your way of sealing the jar will be, you will burn the candle and you will seal the jar. You can also use your DNA. When I say your DNA, you can use a bit of strand of your hair, you can use your nails, or you can even blow inside the jar to your breath to go inside. You can also do that. So I hope you all enjoyed this. Now if you are interested in being a part of the workshop, you can always WhatsApp me and I will share the course fee and how the course will be taken. And those who are going to try this money jar, do try it and let me know what results you had, because last time in the shut up spell, when someone gave me a feedback saying that it had worked for them and I should bring in something for money, I brought in. Now if you want me to bring in some other jar other than money and shut up which I've done, then for that also you can leave a message, you can leave a comment here, and if I have the most number of comments for a particular jar, then I will definitely bring the jar for you all. So like the channel, subscribe the channel, click the bell icon so that you will be notified, because nowadays I keep bringing videos of different modalities and different things. And again, before I end, if you feel this workshop is for you, then you let me know, and I would definitely would love that you're a part of it. Have a great bye.